Time is a very powerful thing. No matter how hard we try, we can't maintain time and we can't reverse time. Time just keeps moving forward and there's nothing we can do about it. The future is coming now. Anyway, my name is Jacob Hauter. I'm studying both marketing, business analytics, and entrepreneurship here. You may have recognized me from the Hatch from this spring. And today, we're going to go over some aspects of the future of marketing. So I'll share some ideas with you, some trends that are going to happen later on. I'll have you share some ideas of what you think is going to happen in the future too. And we'll figure some stuff out, see what all this means, try to comprehend all this. Now, some of the ideas might seem kind of weird of what's happening in the future. They might seem like some weird tales from the future. But if we think about this, and not all of us can fully comprehend what this truly means, but we all have a smartphone. In 10 years, the smartphone replaced so much. The telephone, clock, camera, recording device, TV, radio, timer, flashlight, note taker, so much is just within this small device. 50 years ago, no one would have ever believed this. So although some of these ideas might seem a little crazy, it might be realistic of what's happening in the future. So I found this giant list of trends for the next 25 years. It basically looks at what's going on right now and what's going to happen in the next 25 years. So why this is important is because as marketers, it's important that we're aware of the present, of what our customers are doing, of where they're at, what their interests are. And as marketers, it's especially important for us to be aware of the future. Maybe not be extremely knowledgeable about what's going to happen, but have awareness so we can recognize what's going to happen as the market changes. So of this huge list right here, it's broken down into 5 categories. We got health, the physical world, technology, the micro level to social dynamics, and macro level to social dynamics. So let's start with health. Let's look at some trends for the future of health. So we have an aging Western population and demographic trends. Basically, people can start living older. We have medicine and technologies that allow us to live longer than people used to live, which means we have health and wellness increasing. People are realizing, whoa, I'm living longer, I better stay healthy so I can tolerate living this long throughout life. So we see food, activities, technology, biotechnology, people are becoming way more health conscious than we used to be. Going hand in hand with this is the food industry, changes of what's going on in this. My sister's vegan. She eats this non-meat meat. It makes no sense. I would roast her for it, but she said, no, try it. And I tried one of these things, and it tasted like slightly lower quality meat. I was shocked. I thought, if we can just manipulate chemicals to taste like meat, what's this mean for the future of food? More aspects of the future. We got the research and legalization of marijuana going on right now. States legalizing marijuana. One step away from this is we have the research and legalization of psychedelics. On the West Coast, you see psilocybin is being used as research to treat PTSD, depression, trauma, aspects like that. We're in a generation that's much more comfortable with drugs than former generations have been. We also have wearable technology. I wear this GPS watch. I've been running for a while. Once I started wearing the technology where I could track my progress, I started becoming faster. Because if it can be tracked, it can be improved. I thought, wow, just one piece of technology is in a way directly affecting my physical abilities. This is crazy. And then one step away from this is the biotechnology, the artificial limbs, cell therapies, designer drugs. If you've watched the Olympics a few years ago, we had Oscar Pistorius. They called him Blade Runner. He didn't have 2 legs. He had just the prosthetic legs. And people were saying, this isn't fair. He's faster because he doesn't have legs. This isn't fair. But this is the direction we're moving as this technology becomes much better. More aspects of this, we have genome mapping and editing, stem cell research, nanotechnology. So if you think about the wearable technology, the technology we have now, we think they're almost like limbs for us. I mean, if this dies, what are you to do? It's crazy. Your reality changes when you don't have this. And it sounds crazy, but when you experience that, it's insane. It's almost part of you in this sense. So then we move on to aspects of the physical world. We have the replacement of the aging American infrastructure. People are saying, all right, we need better roads, we need better buildings, we want to see nicer things. Things are becoming too old, we need to rebuild them. You can see the designs of things are changing. If you examine franchises and such, they have a more modern look now. The look is becoming more simplistic. As such, we also have 3D printing, the rise in this. 3D printing is so common, even BG has a 3D printer in our lab. And it makes you wonder, how much can we 3D print in one of these? Right now, we just seem to be printing these small trinkets, but eventually, could we be printing steaks from this? We also have graphene technology, which is the flexible screens for more efficiency and convenience. We have drones, the redesign of travel, transportation, and shipping, as well as electric vehicles, clean energy. You see a lot more electric charging stations. I worked in the automotive industry this summer, and sure enough, we did talk about the rise of electricity with vehicles. Who knows, and how many years it'll be until all vehicles just don't use gasoline anymore. I don't know how soon that will be, but it'll be interesting to observe. We also have space exploration. You know, we hear about Elon Musk all the time. And humans, we have an innate natural desire to explore more that's beyond us. We experienced this when we used to boat and ship to other countries. And now at this point, we're aware of our planet. Now we want to see what other planets are like. And this is where it starts getting crazy, because then we start seeing news of asteroid mining, moon colonies, orbital colonies. Can Mars support life? Will there be markets that exist on other planets? Another aspect of the future, a trend we can see, is in technology. So we see the continued proliferation of the internet and mobile devices. Anyone know what the Internet of Things is? What is it?
It's basically all devices that never used to be connected to internet are now connected to the internet. Smart devices, that kind of a thing.
That's true. You know, most of us, we've only lived when the internet was a thing. We can't fathom the complexities that the internet truly is, how much of a giant network this is, how much of a rise of progress this has been for society. And of course, we've experienced much of that through the social media increase. You know, we got live streaming and the attention economy happening. You know, most of us we're on Twitter like 90% of the day. You know, right here we can see Lil Pump and various other celebrities going live practically all the time on Instagram. Which, speaking of live streaming, we have the rise of esports. I was with my friends once, they started playing Fortnite. I said, this is incredibly boring, I don't want to watch you all play video games. They said, what are you talking about? Watching people play video games is a multi-billion-dollar level industry. People make millions of dollars playing video games. And I said, that's ridiculous. And they said, no, look up this thing called Twitch. And then I realized, this is actually becoming a sport. We then have the adoption of voice technology as well as an IoT/smart home. I own an Amazon Echo at home, and it's very helpful. We're going to start seeing a rise in that, rise of media consumption from people getting entertainment from their Amazon Echoes and other various voice technology devices. We see a rise of virtual reality. We're very experience-prone mammals. We like a good experience. We see a rise in VR headsets. Why explore the world when I can just stay in my own room and watch it from my own vision? We also see the rise in artificial intelligence/machine learning. So about a year ago, I think it was about a year, Saudi Arabia actually granted citizenship to artificial intelligence, Sophia. And Sophia can communicate with people. She's very knowledgeable on specific subject matters. Artificial intelligence is coming here. It's like iRobot. Which, I guess, for a more closer viewpoint of artificial intelligence, we can see autonomous cars and the automation of jobs. I used to work in manufacturing. It was so great when we get machines. Work would get so much easier, so much efficient, and it would be great until someone got laid off. And then we can also see autonomous cars going on. Now, of course, at this point, we're saying, whoa, I I wouldn't want to ride in a car driving itself. That doesn't seem safe. Now, if we think about it, maybe that'd be safer if there's entire technology going on with that, other cars being accountable for other cars instead of just people relying on people. Again, with technology, we can see the decentralization / blockchain, which we'll get into more. I made quite a bit of money off of Bitcoin last year. I'm sure a lot of us heard about that, the rise in cryptocurrencies and such. Then we also have quantum computing. So instead of the binary code, zeros and ones, what if we added more numbers? But when we get into the blockchain and decentralization, this can be really confusing at first. I still don't entirely understand what's going on, but it's something that's going to happen a lot in the world of marketing later on, in the world of the market. So I guess just kind of walking through to try to make sense of this. This is how Bitcoin works. So someone requests a transaction. The transaction is broadcasted to a P2P network consisting of computers known as nodes. Then there's validation. So these nodes are validating each other. So a verified transaction, again, can involve cryptocurrencies, contracts, records, or any other information. Once we have that verification, the transaction is put with other transactions to create a new block, hence the blockchain of data for the ledger. This new block is then added to the existing blockchain in a way that's permanent and unalterable, and then the transaction is complete. So very decentralized, no central source who's making the decisions. It's actually multiple other sources who are verifying this decision. Again, this is still kind of confusing. We don't have to be experts on it, but it's vital that we understand this, that we recognize the vitality of this technology moving forward in the various businesses we work with. So then we get into the social aspects. This examines their overall attitudes, how they exist within society and within the marketplace. It's important we know this so we can then appeal to our audience to understand them better. So one aspect is we see a continued loss of privacy. People have various attitudes towards this, but we see the NSA, the rise in that, the various outlooks on what they're doing. On Facebook, if you upload a bunch of pictures, Facebook automatically recognizes every face that's in that picture. It's convenient, but what does that mean? Another aspect is how big of a sharing economy we have now. Now this diagram best outlines what a sharing economy is. So Bitcoin is the world's biggest bank, but has no actual cash. Uber is the world's largest taxi company, but owns no vehicles. Facebook is the world's most popular media owner, but creates no content. And I know they do create some content now, but it's hardly any. Alibaba is the world's most valuable retailer, yet has no inventory. And Airbnb is the world's largest accommodation provider, but owns no real estate. So something really unique is going on now in terms of what business is like. Something interesting is happening here in what we call the sharing economy. Speaking of which, we then have the rise in contract work and freelancing. People want to work on their own hours, be their own boss. We can see a rise in entrepreneurship in our generation, which then would lead to the short-term rental, nomadic lifestyle, and decreased home ownership. Fewer of us are buying homes, more of us are renting, more of us are traveling. We see the reconstruction of the education system. I played Kahoot a lot last semester. Something small, but it's something unique that's happening within education. Then we have the macro social impacts of what's going on in the future. We can see increasing liberal attitudes and the return to traditionalism in response. And liberalism, conservatism isn't referring to Republican Democrats, just referring to the adjectives themselves. We see the rise in liberalism and then people saying, has this gone too far? Maybe we should be more reserved, more traditional. It's interesting to observe the human behavior in the sense of how are we acting, where do our attitudes lie. We have increasing wealth inequality, and we have globalization and nationalism in response. People are saying, well, globalism is inevitable. It makes sense that the globe would come together. There'd be more involvement, more centralization in this sense. And then we can see in the human behavior that there's a rise in people saying, I don't know, maybe we need some independence. You know, it shocked everyone when Great Britain exited the European Union with Brexit. And then in November 2016, we had what we called Trexit. People were shocked that we elected Trump, someone who was a supporter of nationalism and opposed to globalization. And then, with this, there's increasing social unrest. We see a rise in protests, riots. There are systems, and systems, as we can view from evolution, were meant to be broken. So many people are fed up with the system. That system can mean multiple things. But we can see, again, a rise in people feeling a sense of independence or craving that sense. Along with this is the rise of China as a global superpower, which we'll get much more into later on, as well as the debt and currency crisis, as well as the reset of the financial system. Cryptocurrency will greatly affect this. I don't know if it'll be Bitcoin will be the biggest crypto, but cryptocurrency is on the move for sure. So this is the giant list of trends that are going to happen within the next 25 years. So this shows where our customers are going to be, how they're changing, how they're adapting, what's going on in the market. However, this list is incomplete. So I'm wondering, what else do you guys think is going to happen in the future? Or what really stood out to you in this list? Or is there anything in this list you disagree with?
One thing you hinted about that I've heard a lot of people talking about was with automation. And a lot of people are saying that because of automation, there will be no jobs in the future. I personally disagree with that. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that, with the rise in automation, we'll have an increase in people needing to understand how to work with these machines. Now, at some points when I initially came to college, I thought, should I have gone into mechanical engineering? That kind of thing, would that have been a more appropriate thing based on what the future is going to hold? So yeah, we'll definitely see a rise in people who will need to understand the technology behind that,
right,
rather than, I guess we could say, the labor mentality behind that, the assembly mentality. More so, it's more important to understand the technology that is creating these things.
When it comes to blockchain technology, I don't think we'll ever see a decentralized age, more so a centralized age. So companies like Ripple, if you're familiar with XRP, well, it's pretty much a banking system for blockchain, although it's instantaneous transaction. I don't think we'll ever see a completely decentralized system because there's nothing back, and people like the sense of back. So like for the dollar, that's backed by the FDIC. So that's centralized. Ripple, it's backed by, Ripple tokens, or will be backed by a physical virtual dollar. I mean, your credit card, money on there is backed by a dollar. I don't think Bitcoin will be the one, but it'll be a centralized currency because people don't like the feeling of losing a Ledger Nano and losing $1 million. So.
That does tend to be what a lot of economists say as well. It's kind of their outlook on Bitcoin as well. You see a lot more saying, well, gold is more practical since it's backed by something. I am shocked that these cryptocurrencies have gotten as big as they have. It's unique to observe this blockchain technology. But yeah, will we ever see a day of complete decentralization? By this point, it doesn't look like we will, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
So I agree with you. Let's see your presentation about specifically about like artificial intelligence and autonomous vehicles and like that area. But don't you think that all these things bring up a lot of like liability issues for like companies? And like with that being said, you kind of like have to have workers there to like supervise these things because there can be so many flaws. Like there's car companies that have come up with like autonomous vehicles and like people have died because of them. And that can lead to a lot of lawsuits and other problems. So do you think that like this with technology moving so fast will do more harm than good?
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great addition to that. Yeah, as far as the legal standpoint, yeah, I am surprised that wasn't on this list then, as far as, because it could be more dangerous in that sense. Yeah, I mean, by this point, a lot of these do seem pretty dangerous.
Yeah. But
from their perspective, it's like, nah, it makes things safer, more efficient. But yeah, I mean, by this point in time, a lot of this it's hard to imagine in a sense too, by this point, since a lot of this isn't completely mainstream, like stamped down into the mainstream. So yeah, definitely the legal standpoint will be a huge thing in the future. So, do you have one?
Oh, I was just gonna say with like the Echo, optimizing your product to come up in voice search, I think it's going to be a big thing. I know there's talk about how Amazon seems to prefer their Amazon basic products to the Echo, so it's kind of interesting. When you say I need paper towels, are they going to give you options, or are they just going to buy it for you from a specific company, Amazon's?
Yeah, it's a great point, because when I search on Amazon, I always go for the top seller, and that's primarily a deciding factor in that. So it's, yeah, I mean, if you say, hey, order me some pants, what's going to be the common standard for pants in that case? Will we experience more monopoly in that sense?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So, yeah.
Actually, I do have one. The continued loss of privacy. That brings up a good point about what's happening right now with a lot of the marketing tactics around like kind of shaping like what you want, not what you want, but what you buy and kind of your buying habits and like shaping that towards like the coupons that you receive, different things like that, like the Kroger Plus card. And some people are getting kind of like irritated, like they're stalking me, they're going too far. But like in my opinion, like to a certain point, as long as it doesn't go too far, like it's providing like what you're actually wanting, what you were buying for, like it follows your habits. So like why wouldn't you be pleased by that? Because you're saving money, it's helping you, different things like that.